I'm going to show you some cable jewelry, as I call it, for doing a 4-stitch cable and how it differs from some of the other methods. Typically what people often use would be a cable needle. This could come in this sort of shape that has little notches to hold the stitches on it, or they're sometimes shaped like handlebars or a U or some sort of shape to hold stitches while you're doing your knitting and moving stitches around. Some people use a DPN, which works just as well. And some people will use even a locking stitch marker to hold the stitches in place as they move them around. This is what they call a cable ring, and it just goes on your thumb, and you basically just have that there until you need it. And this is a cable necklace which goes around your neck. It has a cord that's adjustable. I'm sorry, there's black on black here, but there's an adjustable cord. And I keep it around my neck about the level of my knitting and can grab it anytime I need it. So looking at a cable, we have here just a made-up design. I'm just kind of playing around with things, but just to show you. To start out, to do a cable for right, what we need to do is get the stitches in a different order, and we want our cable to go to the right, slanting to the right, as it is here. So to do that with a cable needle, basically what a person would do would be to insert the cable needle into the first 2 stitches, hold the cable needle to the back, knit the next 2 stitches here, and then these 2 stitches here. And that will create this sort of right-facing cable for right. But if you want to do that without a cable needle, what we need to do is we want these 2 stitches to come across the first 2 stitches. So what we do is we take the needle and just put it on top of these 2 stitches, but not under them. Put it under the second set of 2 stitches and slide everything off. And now grab the 2 stitches that we slid off, put it back on the needle, and put these other 2 stitches back on the needle. So now we have the second 2 stitches are the leading stitches, and the first 2 stitches are the trailing stitches. So if we knit that, we have some nice crossed stitches. To do it to the left, it's a similar type of idea. With the cable needle, you would normally take the first 2 stitches, put them on the cable needle, and put the cable to the front, knit these 2 stitches, and then these 2 stitches, which brings a stretch across to the left. To do this without a cable needle, it's kind of the opposite of what we just did. We bring this right-hand needle past these first 2 stitches and put it into the back of the second 2 stitches, slide everything off, grab these 2 stitches here, swap that around, and now our second 2 stitches are on the right-hand side and will be knit first, and the first 2 stitches are now the last 2 stitches, and they are leaning towards the left. And then when we knit that, it creates our twisted stitches. So it's actually not that hard to cable without a needle when you've got just 2 stitches that you're slipping or switching around rather, or if you have 4 stitches, it's doable. I find if I have a really slippery yarn, sometimes it's really hard, or some yarns are a little bit more difficult to deal with, and sometimes I feel like I don't pick up the stitches very cleanly, and maybe I'm just a klutz, what can I say? So let me get across to another row and I will show you the cable jewelry. So I am doing this in a continental style, but the idea of switching the stitches is the same for knitting in either direction. It's basically moving the first 2 stitches to be either knit in front of or behind the other stitches. Okay, we're getting there. It's hard to talk and knit at the same time, but we are almost there. Let me come around, finish this row here, get back up to this same spot here. So what I do with the cable necklace, unfortunately I can't have it strung around my neck right now because I have the camera in between me and my neck, so I'm going to have to do this by hand. But basically what I do, remembering that we want to cable right, that we want to get these 2 stitches in front of the first 2 stitches, and we want them leaning to the right. So what I do with the cable necklace is I slip purlwise with the yarn and back the first 2 stitches, grab the second 2 stitches with the cable necklace, swap out the 2 stitches that I had just slipped to the right hand needle back to the left hand needle, put the 2 stitches that I put onto the cable necklace back on here, and we have basically what we had before when we had the cabling without a needle, is we've reordered the stitches. And once again we just knit on through and we have our cable right. To do it to the left, it's the same idea, only this time we want to knit these 2 stitches, these 2 stitches last. So we want to basically just slip these 2 off, slip these purlwise to the right hand needle, slip the stitches from the cable necklace back onto the left hand needle, and put the ones we had slipped to the right needle back on the left needle. So now we have the first 2 stitches crossing in front of the last 2 stitches. Knit that in order. And again, it's doing the same thing as we have done when we do cabling without a needle by just swapping the stitches around, but it does reorder them, and I find it's just a little bit like working with a net. So the cable ring is something I'm a little less comfortable with, and I think that's only because I did the cable necklace first. But it's the same idea. It's sitting on your thumb, and as soon as you need to flip your stitches, you just kind of flip it over and use it to move the stitches around. You can either take it off, or some people I think manage to kind of keep it on their finger and use it. But again, I'm not as adept with this as I am with the cable necklace, and I seem to prefer it. Although I have used this when I'm doing socks with really tiny yarns, I find it really useful. So anyway, it's just an alternative, another way of doing things. So hopefully you learned a little bit from that, or might consider using a cable necklace if you're not comfortable with cabling without a needle.